Hello students, Michael Sanchez, violin fiddle teacher here. Today we're going to be working on the Bank of Ireland. Actually just played through it for the people here in the lab class. We're going to be doing a lot of improvisation in this piece as well as adding in some grace note possibilities. So I'm going to tutor you guys on that today. Okay, so the biggest thing with adding in grace notes is understanding where you can put them. And the biggest thing is understanding how it works with adding in grace notes. So typically what the rule is whatever bass note you're dealing with a grace note. So let's say we're dealing with this note here in this key. We can do a grace note either right below the note of the scale or right above and go right into it. So for example, for a C natural, which is the first note of the piece, it could be started on the next note of the scale, which would be a D, like that, or it could be on a first finger to the C, like this, like that. So I'm going to, actually on all the quarter notes, I'm actually going to add in a grace note, so you guys can kind of see how I do that. So at the very beginning, so ready, let's do a 3 to 4. You could also do it on eighth notes as well, so like right there I did it on eighth note. That could have been like that. So yeah, this is one of those pieces where grace note really adds a lot. So yeah, it adds a lot to add those grace notes in there. So that's one recommendation for you guys. The next thing that I'm going to give you guys some tips on is some improvisational stuff. So I actually went over that quite a bit in the last class. And basically what that all consists of is understanding what you can do in a piece like this by looking at what's above with the chord changes. So for those of you guys that don't know, and most of you guys most likely do, is these are the guitar chords or the piano chords that somebody else is using to play along with you, the harmony to your melody. So understanding, though, what you can do in each of those situations to change up notes to basically create a different sort of melody that's different, that's unique to your own, is extremely valuable when you're playing in a band, when you're playing in a jam session, when you're trying to not just do the same thing every time. So, obviously playing through this whole piece the way it's written is fine, but then the second time through, let's figure out maybe what we can do. So let's just take these 4 notes that I circled, and let's try to understand what we can change notes to, and then let's try to come up with maybe some different melodies behind it. So as far as A minor, I mentioned this in the last class, if you have a lowercase m that follows, that indicates that it's minor and not major. So an A minor chord consists of an A, a C, and an E. Ace. Okay? So being able to play the A minor arpeggio would be extremely helpful. Right like that. So that's the first chord that we're dealing with. The second chord we're dealing with is G, which is probably the most common chord. Is going to be G, B, D. Okay? We go back to A minor. And then the last one is D, which is D, F sharp, A. So your first assignment for this week would be to be able to play each of those arpeggios with no problem. So A minor, G, D. You don't have to go any higher than that, just first position is fine. So yeah, being able to do that, and you can find those arpeggios by searching violin scales on Google. The second listing is really good for it. You'll be able to see the arpeggios associated with each of those chords. Okay, so let's first show you guys how, as of right now, you're going to find that the first notes that are being hit on each of those chord changes is going to be consistent with what we just wrote. I would say about 95% of the time that's going to be the case. So for example, in an A minor chord, the first note that's being hit is C, which matches here. So you can see that the first note of the piece is a C, which is part of the A minor chord. Here we have E, which is part of the G chord. Nope, sorry, so this is one of the exceptions. Oh, how about that? Okay, not in this case. Next one, we have A minor, which is C again, and then the D chord, we have A right here, so that matches. So yeah, the G is kind of clashing a little bit with that E, so that does happen at times. I'd say once or twice, I would say a piece or less, so you'll see that, but that's kind of an exception. Okay, so let's try to change up some of these notes to actually be different than what they are right now, and then that's going to be kind of our basis for improvisation. So let's change the first note of the piece to something else that's part of the A minor chord. Let's change it to an E. So instead of playing a C, we're going to start by playing an E. So I'm just going to write a fourth finger above here so that I know that that's an E. Quotes. Okay, so I'm playing a fourth finger on the A string right there. And then the next one, G, let's switch that to a B. It's kind of hard to change on the actual staff. So it's going to be, let's actually do this. I'm going to do notation. So it's going to be a first finger on the A string, fourth finger on the A string here. So we have A4, we have A1, because that's a B, right? Raise your hand if you follow me so far. Notation is just referring to the letter and, the string you're on and the finger you're putting down. Okay, then the next A minor chord, let's do A2, low, that's a C natural. And then for the D chord, let's do A3. That's a D, right? Okay, raise your hand if you guys understand that each of these that I just put in fits this structure that we just put in. You guys understand that? I'm just changing the letter, but it's still being a part of the chord. But we're changing up those letters. So basically, technically what I just did is considered improvisation. But now, the tricky part is actually figuring out how to bridge from one to the next. So going from here to here is what takes practice, right? But having a good start as far as understanding which notes you're changing is a good way to practice improv. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap to a quarter note so I really understand the beat of this piece. So here's my beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I want you guys to start is actually just by playing those notes for 4 beats, like this. But try to maybe bob your instrument or tap your foot like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So basically, I just played those 4 notes that I changed the piece to, which is obviously pretty dull. It's not much there. But now what I want you guys to try to do is put in one note in between each of those notes. So like this, but I still want you to keep the beat going so that you understand where the start of the measures are going to be. So like this. like that. So basically I played an extra note per measure, a total of 8 notes. I just kind of doubled what I did there. Okay, but now, for those of you guys that are a little bit more advanced with this, what I'm going to do is kind of have more of just this kind of free-flowing feeling, not a structured feeling, but the most important thing is to hit those downbeats properly, to hit those circled notes that I originally put. So hitting that A4, hitting the A1, hitting the A2, and then A3 are most important, but I'm going to do whatever in between, basically creating a solo. So so on. So I just kind of came up with that. But I'm going to do a couple different examples, and hopefully you guys can kind of catch on what I'm doing. So no matter what I do, I'm hitting those 4 notes right on the beat. So okay, I'll do another one. Okay, so technically what I just did there would have fit for the Bank of Ireland. Now it's kind of off what's being done a little bit there, but that's the idea, is that you're changing up one note and then trying to bridge your way into the next. So let me go back to the actual tune of Bank of Ireland, which is... Okay, so now I'm going to stick a little bit more to what's actually written, but I'm going to change to those 4 notes I originally put in there. So the A4, A1, A2, A3, okay? See what happens. Like that. Let me try another one. Or maybe let's try one more. Like that. That was a little bit more farther away, maybe what was originally played. So you kind of got to have a balance in between as far as improvising and changing up to different notes. Let me kind of maybe try to stick more to the structure of what's there. So try another one. And I'll be honest, I mean, out of every time that I do this, I kind of self-evaluate myself. I say, yeah, that was cool, or, that wasn't as cool. But the thing is, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to kind of just put myself out there and play something. Obviously, I've been doing it a lot longer than probably you guys have. But that's kind of the key to this, is just being able to kind of open up your brain and just open up your imagination to different possibilities. And just letting your fingers fall down. Try not to think so much about structure, a little bit of structure, but think more just like, what can I do in between here that's going to sound cool? What can I do that's going to be unique? Just let fingers fall, and then the more you do it, the more you're going to have times where it's like, yeah, that was awesome. That was exactly what I wanted, or that was what I was looking for. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing is, maybe starting simple with changing up a couple notes or even just one note, and then kind of branching off from there until you guys get a feel for it. I actually kind of feel restricted a little bit trying to stick to this method because I like to just jam. So for example, like if I play this first line, now I might want to do. I actually didn't like that too much. So like there, I kind of liked what I did in some spots, and I thought maybe at the end I could have done a little better. But yeah, I'll just practice doing different things until I kind of, like what I do. And more times than not, I'll like what I do, and then I just kind of want to expand on that. But yeah, it just takes practice. And but yeah, you kind of just have to have a mentality of doing something different and being imaginative and just trying new things. So raise your hand if that makes sense. Awesome. No, it's a little different for some of you guys. I've been on both sides of the world as far as playing violin and fiddle. I've been more on the classical side, like with absolutely nothing regarding improvisation and changing anything. And I teach that. I would say 75% of my students that I've had have been strictly classical, so we're doing exactly what's on the page, nothing different. That's fun, and that's definitely a great thing to learn and to practice. But then there's the other side of, creating things out of nowhere, which is pretty challenging for people that haven't done it, even those that are able to play pretty competently. So, yeah, I hope that this lesson kind of helps you with that a little bit. Certainly I'm not perfect in how I interpret things and try things, so I mean it's just practice and just putting in the effort and just giving it a try. You can do this stuff in comfort of your home without having to play it for anybody. Just try different things. Try to pay more attention to the chord changes to kind of aim at changing different notes up a little bit. And yeah, nothing feels better than creating a cool solo out of nowhere. So hope that this encourages you guys to do some stuff like that. All right, well, I'm going to take some questions from anybody that's here right now in the live class. And for those of you guys that are listening on audio right now, you guys can hopefully participate in the live class next week. We do these every Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern time. So you guys can hopefully get involved and join us next time. And yeah, if you're in the live class, you can actually see me and also ask personal questions. So hope to see you guys there.